I'm Trask, and this is our weekly reset. Thanks for being here. Every week we come together just for this half hour. And what we do is we set up the next week, the week coming. How do we do that? We find little elements of our lives like gratitude or forgiveness or happiness or personal power. And we focus on those so that it integrates into our next week. Today, we're talking about happiness. You deserve to be happy. Let's start with a meditation. If you will, please just close your eyes and relax, 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 relax. Just let yourself be completely at peace. I can feel your peace. I can feel it seeping through my body and through yours. I can feel the grace of the universe surrounding us, protecting us, giving us peace. And with each breath that you take, please know that you're breathing pure grace. The grace is the intelligent energy of the universe. It's alive. And it's in you now, awakening each of the 100 trillion cells in your body, and teaching each one of them to wake up and sing in harmony with all of the other cells so that your entire body is filled with joy. Oh, what a beautiful day, a beautiful life. And it's so, if you know that you are being loved, that grace, that intelligent, wise grace, it's alive. It's the presence of the universe. It's the living presence of the universe, and it loves you. Your unique and indefinable creation. So precious, so beautiful. You are being loved by this magnificent universe, and you are being blessed by it. Right now, and you're being protected. Always, always protected. Stop worrying. And now you're free. Loved, blessed, safe, and free. As you look inside of you now, you make a decision. How shall I live this day? Shall I live it in joy? knowing that I'm loved and blessed and safe and free? Will I accept that and let all of those little worries slide away because they're all temporary? But you are not. You are eternal. When you come back to us, please bring this self back. This is the true you. Don't let this self be dismembered by the craziness of life. Don't let it be dismembered. Remember it. Okay? Then come on back and let's get started with today's message. So today we talk about happiness. We talk about happiness, about your deserving right to be happy. We do, and you do, in fact, deserve great happiness in your life. But if we deserve it, let's find out how we can attain it. So instead of adding more things to our lives in order to be happy, let's see if we can take away some things that will leave us happy, because happiness is our nature. How do I know that? Look at little kids. Before we taught them how to worry, and we taught them how to worry, didn't we? And you were taught how to worry. Before you started worrying, you were just fine. And then you learned how to worry. Little kids learn how to worry. And before we learned how to do that, we were just happy. Daphne du Maurier says, happiness is not a possession to be prized. It is a quality of thought, a state of mind. So what she's saying is it's not a possession. It's a state of mind. It's a quality of thought. And if you're watching this right now and listening to me right now, then you've got to ask yourself, so what's the big deal? Why am I going to spend a half an hour watching this about happiness? What's the big deal? Because only when you're in that state of happiness, only when you're in that state of joy, are you really you. You're not even you until that happens. And when we don't understand the root of happiness, we try to accumulate more things to make us happy, don't we? We accumulate more friends, more fame, more entertainment, more stuff to be happy. In fact, happiness is a way of living, a state of life and of mind that with whatever we have, it's okay. Did you know this? Studies show that happiness is contagious? A 20-year study done on 4,739 people between the years 1983 and 2002, that's like 10 years, showed that happiness can be transmitted to our associates even when they're not present, Think about that, even when they're not present. Researchers were able to observe that happiness spread to the third degree of separation, to friends, and then from those friends to the friends of those friends. And they even established that if a person had a friend living within a mile radius who was happy, It increased that secondary person's probability of experiencing happiness by 25%. Look at what that means. That if I'm happy, if I'm in joy, if I'm looking at the bright side of life, if I'm looking at the wonderful things in life, if I'm doing that, I'm making you happy. And if you're my friend and we're connected, and all of us are, then do I have maybe a duty to be happy because it picks you up? What other thing could I do in life that's more worthwhile than making your life happy? Similar results were observed between spouses and siblings and even close neighbors. So yes, your happiness can be described as contagious. And it's not a goal, is it, happiness? It's not a goal. It's a journey that is in itself the fulfillment of our dreams. It, that's, so I'm dreaming. So I say, wow, if I had a few $100 million, I'd go buy a 50-foot Grand Banks and I'd fix it all up inside. And when I'm writing my books, I'd go down to the wharf and I'd sit in there with the water lapping up against the hull and the seagulls squawking overhead and looking out the windows in the distance. And I'd be working on my computer and writing great books and drinking tea, and background there'd be music. And wouldn't that be great? What would be great about it? I'd be happy. Well, how about being happy just with my dream? Do I have to wait until that's manifest? Can't I be happy now? Because see, happiness is not just a feeling, it's a self-empowering process. This journey, this way of life, this makes me stronger. It empowers me. Margaret Lee Rumbek said, happiness is not a station you arrive at, but the manner of traveling. And you deserve to live in happiness. You know that, right? You know that. You deserve it. If you have any questions about that, give me a call. You deserve to be happy, because without happiness, you're powerless. You're simply without power. It isn't that happiness is power. It's the channel through which power comes. And when you don't have happiness, that channel closes down and you're powerless. You've got to have joy. You've got to have happiness in order that you have power in your life. And when you're powerless, you can't live the life you came here to live. So happiness is not a privilege. It's not a result of something. It's not a result of having more friends or more fame or more Facebook connections or more stuff. It's not that. It's not a result of something. It's the cause of something. Because if I'm happy, if I have joy in my heart, then I'm become one with the universe. And you might say to me, oh, well, okay, come on, don't tell me the universe is happy. I said in my meditation with you that the universe is alive. It's not just a dead thing with some rocks floating around in space. Think about it a minute. All of this stuff is moving, it's evolving, it's growing. There are new galaxies being formed. There are great nebula in the universe that are more beautiful than the most fantastic garden in 3 dimensions, changing, colorful, magnificent. And on our own planet, trees reaching for the light, joyfully reaching for the light, flowers shouting out of the soil in your garden, and birds singing and swimming through the beautiful space of God in the air. And we're filled and surrounded by happiness. Yes, the universe is happy. And if you're happy, then you're one with the universe and you're one with universal power. So yeah, it's your duty to be happy. But is there a key to happiness? Well, that's a good question. Yes, there is a key, and it's so simple that it's being overlooked constantly by most people, including therapists and psychologists. That key is acceptance. You see that life is what it is, right? It's not what we'd like it to be. It's not whether it's others tell us happiness is, and it's not what it should be. It is what it is. Dale Carnegie said, success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. That's acceptance. When I accept everything exactly the way it is and exactly the way it is not, accept it totally, then I become one with it. And then I'm in truth, aren't I? And when I'm in truth, I'm in happiness. Because truth, what is? The reality of what is. The reality of what is. That's the power of the universe unfolding. But for instance, in its unfoldment, if I say, oh, wait a minute, because we don't like change, that's part of being human beings. We don't like change. So if I'm saying, oh, wait a minute, I don't like that, that Mary and I have a beautiful backyard of flowers and things. But what we've learned is that things transport themselves into our yard, and something starts growing in our beautiful bed of flowers. Something starts growing. We don't know what the heck it is. And I say, you know what this is? I've never seen one of those before. We don't pull it out. We used to pull them out. We don't pull them out. We let them go and we see what happens. And sometimes it turns out that that's one of the most beautiful flowers in the garden. This happened a couple of years ago, and these big stalks started growing, and they were dominating, and they were in the back of the garden, fortunately. But we said, what are those? I don't know what it is. And then when they got to the top, they bloomed these most magnificent big flowers. And then we found out that they were phlox. We didn't know what phlox were. We didn't recognize them at all, but we accepted them. Will you accept the weeds a bit that are in your life and see if they turn into flowers? Because that's what they're there for. Even the saddest times of our lives are there for a reason, aren't they? They're the weeds in the garden of our lives, but they have a purpose for being there. And if I accept them, then that purpose comes through me and I become it. And if I don't accept it, well, then I yank that out and then I still have to do that somewhere down the road. That's called karma. So do I have to surrender to the bad things that are going to be happening in my life? Yes. Then they stop being bad things. They just start being part of the garden. Then I asked, what's going on in your life right now that you'd most like to change? What's the thing in your life that's caused you to fall out of happiness right now? What is that? That negative thing in your life that's bugging you. I have got news for you. It's here to stay. It isn't going anywhere, because your ability to change it is lost without your total acceptance of it. Here's an example. If your car's dirty and you decide to wash it, well, first you accepted that it was dirty, didn't you? And then you could wash it. But if you didn't, if you were in denial, then the cards just stay dirty. And the same thing is true with being in a relationship with a partner who's doing something that's rattling you, or they're failing to do something that would make the relationship work better. And unless you're willing to stop resisting that truth because it's truth and become one with it, stop resisting and become one with it, you'll never be able to change it. Then why not, you ask? Why can't I confront my mate and just tell him, hey, stop all this nonsense? Just stop it. Because you'll be coming into that confrontation with discontent, maybe even bitterness, not a place of acceptance of what is, and then you'll be part of the problem instead of part of the solution. But if you're one with the situation, by which I mean you've stopped resisting your mate's attitude, and you're seeing it as truth, as what is, actually accepting it, then you can create happiness inside of you. And then when you talk to your mate, it'll be with love and joy instead of accusations and resistance. And only then can you reach into his or her heart and fashion the change that you want. So the key is always acceptance. The key is always acceptance. Acceptance of what is. Michael J. Fox said, "My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance, an inverse proportion to my expectations." So then, what exactly is acceptance? It's being one with what is. It's being one with the truth. It's being in forgiveness. What is forgiveness? It's accepting what happened and not trying to change it through our bitterness or our resentment. Not looking back and saying, oh, damn it, damn it, damn it. If only this, or if only that, or why did this happen? Why? And sometimes people say to me, I'm mad at God. Why would God let this happen? The universe is unfolding as it should. And you and I are going to have some heartbreaks in our lives. And that's just part of life. And those happen. If we're in acceptance, then the healing happens and we grow through it. If we're in resistance, then it becomes a deep, ugly scar and wound that does not heal, does not heal. I knew a dear lady who went through a terrible time after her husband died, and she hired a lawyer to help out. And I even remember, I've heard her story so many times, and she's passed on to the great beyond now. But she told the story so often, and I never knew him, but I know his name is Litvak. I know his name. I've heard it so often. She went to her grave still hating him, still angry with him at what he had done. I'm not saying he didn't do something bad. He was probably a shyster and a crook, a narrow-minded, dark, wormy little man who didn't take care of people as he should. But she went through the rest of her life with that wound in her soul. And Litvak, you think he cared? You think it hurt him? Not at all. Acceptance is saying it is the way it is, and it was the way it was, and it is the way, and it was the way the way it's supposed to be. Acceptance, then. Acceptance, what was the truth, and accepting whatever was involved. Because that movie was cast, it was filmed, and it was shown, and then it's gone, and it's over, and it was just a movie, and it's gone, and we can forget it now. Accepting that nothing in my erroneous thinking can change the past. It's only through true acceptance that we can find happiness. And happiness is not only forgiveness, it's also gratitude. Whew. This morning, Mary said to me, you don't look all that happy. And I said, well, I'm just pensive. She said, no, you're not that happy. She said, I want you to go out on the porch and just look up into the trees and the sky and look at the flowers and listen to the birds for a few minutes. So don't go do your talk before you get happy. I wish you could all be married to Mary. Because when I went out on the porch and looked, I saw the glory that's life. I saw the glory of life and I felt the miracle of my own body. So happiness is forgiveness, and happiness is gratitude, and happiness finally is love. Not that gushy emotional love, it's the deepest love, the deepest appreciation for life and for those who matter in your life. Love in action comes as an expression of acceptance. How do you express your love daily? Can you do it in small, surprising ways that awaken the hearts of those who matter in your life? Mahatma Gandhi said, happiness is when you think what you say and you do what you are, and you do it in harmony. In harmony. There can be no harmony without acceptance. So when one speaks, do we just listen? Or do we hear them? Because the greatest way of showing your acceptance is to stop expecting someone to say something in a certain way. Or when they're talking, our minds are already configuring how we're going to answer that. We're already listening inside of ourselves. How does that fit with my belief system? How does that work for me? And then we're not listening. Well, we may be listening, but we're not hearing. We're not hearing the music of their voices. We're not hearing their hearts singing or crying. So are we just listening? Because if we're just listening, we're just hearing noise. But if we're really hearing the heart of that person who's talking to us, and not just waiting for them to finish, having already intellectualized the information they're broadcasting, if the information they're sending is secondary to love, secondary to the love they're sending, or they're trying to send to me or to you, then we need to be hearing them. So this whole thing today, you deserve to be happy. You deserve complete happiness in your life. And not only do you deserve it, and not only do you have a right to it, but you have a duty, I think. At least I think. You have a duty to step up to the line and claim your happiness. Because you're ineffective as a part of this human family if you can't be happy. Your happiness is contagious, reaches out to everyone around you. Your happiness touches me, touches other people, it touches souls. When you go into a grocery store, if you're in there, oh God, go into the grocery store and look for a happy face. I dare you. People pushing the carts up and down the aisles. Oh my God, you'd think their best friend just died. But you can change that. If you go into the grocery store with happiness, not only will you come away with groceries, other people will come away with your gift. You can do that. And you and I should do that. And why? Because we both know that this world is in a really dark place right now. The climate change and the wars and the doubts and lying politicians and all of the other stuff that's going on that's just inundating us with commercial crap. And it's twisting and pushing us and trying to form us into what the advertisers and the politicians and the religions want us to be. We have to be able to stand tall as unique individuals, loved, blessed, safe, free, and be happy. And let that happiness radiate out into the world. Let's change lives. Let's do that. We can do that. We can do that. We can be happy because we deserve to be happy, and we have a right to be happy, and we have a duty to be happy. So let's start right now by accepting reality exactly the way it is. And then let's start living in gratitude and in forgiveness and truly giving love. Thank you, my dear friend, for being with me today. Thank you. I appreciate you. Together, we're moving forward. Together, we're making a difference in the world by these weekly resets. Thank you. If if you if you'd like to, and I'd really love it if you will, please go to my website, bobtrask.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a donate button. Would you please make a donation to help me keep these weekly resets coming, please? Thank you. I really appreciate your support. And now we're going to have another half hour for those of us that want to stay. And we're going to discuss today's topic, and we're just going to share with each other and be happy. So if you want to join us, please do. But if you have to run, I understand totally. Then please go with my blessings, and I'll see you next week.